Hi, my name is Darren Joseph from HCJ.tax, and we're the team that seeks to demystify that sometimes confusing world of international tax. And today we have a bit of a segue. We have the honor and the privilege of speaking with Steve Maggi. Steve, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. Steve Maggi here. I'm an immigrant from Argentina, and I've been running my own immigration practice based in the U.S. since 2004, so for a little while.
Okay, fantastic.
And I'd like to get your thoughts on the CBI programs, the Citizenship by Investments that certain other countries have. And I think it's especially relevant because when we look at that list of, I don't know what you call the list, the travel ban list or the higher levels of due diligence list or whatever, on the third category, there are quite a few CBI nations. So is that a signal? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a coincidence, and there's very few people there and that work in the world that we live in where we have to be on top of things like Vanuatu. Like most people don't know that country exists.
Yeah.
Malta, Malta, I've been there. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, but it's not on most people's radar.
Yeah.
And then of these Caribbean countries, we know that Caribbean countries, some of them have been sort of a bastion of places for people to put their capital, no questions asked kind of thing. It had that reputation in the 80s and the 90s. Then other countries realized, like Jersey Isle and things, we really need to change our policies in terms of tax being like a refuge for people's capital, being like a small version of Switzerland. Countries that weren't on people's radar have gone on this radar because of the way, and you know this much better than I do, because of the way that they've changed their tax structuring and their laws, right? That's also reflected in the CBI programs, because what does it mean if somebody is a qualifying, like I think the UK now has a bond program, you invest in a government bond. That means they have more money in their coffers to use. It's very low risk. I think it's more attractive than EB5 right now. So you're seeing even major, not developing countries, but G8 countries, G7, G5, these very strong, powerful countries that are also becoming more relaxed and trying to bring investors in. I think that's because, Darren, there's a finite amount of people that are high net worth. And we're talking about I don't know if there's VHNI, but the very high net worth people, they're very sought after. And I think all these countries are vying for their capital. Because if you bring in $5 or $10 million per person, and you're a small country whose GDP is $500 million, that makes a huge impact on your economy. And so I think it's incredible how people have, and we've talked about this in previous meetings, have so many passports. They're very savvy, and they really don't care if they're in Grenada or if they're in Maldives, or as long as they have a place to protect their assets, to be able to, get all the rights and privileges of a resident or a citizen, to take advantage and live a better life. That's why this golden green card will not work if it's not on the same level, which is providing people a way to get direct citizenship. So I think that it's absolutely not a coincidence, going back to your original question, that some of the countries that are targeted, orange, yellow, in this new system that is set to be put in place, and it could change. We might have to have this conversation in a week from now, and it might be different, but it's not a coincidence. They're trying to detract or penalize people, right? If you say, for example, a Chinese national becomes a Vanuatu citizen because they have invested through this program, then they are no longer eligible to enter the US, for example, because they have a passport from another country. Right now, the US, it's very interesting. The US has this very interesting dynamic with penalizing people who are born in mainland China. And now the gray area is what happens if they're born in Hong Kong, which is a protectorate of China. China considers Hong Kong to be part of China. Their passport says Hong Kong, China, PRC on it. But the US treats Hong Kong nationals separately. So this is just an incredible dynamic that you and I see. I referred to it to somebody when I talked about you and I and how we interact. This massive jigsaw puzzle. And within each country, you also have the people that are moving by way of passport or physically or both, but they're moving and they're setting up different nationalities and things. And it's this massive jigsaw puzzle, and it's changing all the time. What makes it even more complex is when countries start putting barriers up. You're not eligible because you have this passport. And so it's like, it's a strategic war that we're going to see here. And I think it's absolutely related. It's fascinating, depressing all at once. But you and I specifically, we have to stay on top of these trends because it affects our clients so much, where they can go, where they can't go, what nationalities to obtain or not obtain, how to weigh those risks and benefits, right? And it's always changing. Like I said, a week from now, we could have the same conversation. It might be different.
Thank you.
And if someone wanted to reach you, what's the best way to find you?
Probably just to contact me on LinkedIn or to write me directly, SMAGGI at smalawyers with an s.com. The website is www.smaimmigration.com. They can also send a query through the website.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.